has sent a warning to judges and lawmakers who stoke Trump's wrath on immigration. Tyrone Bowman live, according to an article in Politico. Let's talk about it. Cross the Trump administration on immigration and you will pay. That's the apparent message behind two prosecutions that Trump's Justice Department has launched against officials in the other co-equal branches of government. Last month, prosecutors arrested a Wisconsin judge for allegedly, I don't know where this article went to, pardon me, I found it. Trying to lace a lot of commercials in here. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen, let me get into this. Let me get back to this. I apologize for the delay. All right, here we go. Cross the Trump administration on immigration and you will pay. That's the apparent message behind two prosecutions that Trump's Justice Department has launched against officials in the other co-equal branches of government. Last month, prosecutors arrested a Wisconsin judge for allegedly helping an undocumented immigrant leave a courthouse. Then this week, prosecutors charged a New Jersey lawmaker with assault after a scuffle outside an immigration detention center. It's no coincidence that both cases target perceived opponents of Trump's signature issue. The president has pushed all manner of boundaries in his second term, facing off against courts and Congress at every turn. But in seeking to enhance his mass deportation plan, he has tested constitutional limits most brazenly. The criminal charges against Milwaukee County Circuit Judge Hannah Dugan and Democratic Representative LaMonica McIver are the latest examples of Trump's provocative constitutional warfare. Judges and lawmakers have broad immunity from criminal charges connected to their official duties, and prosecutors historically have been reluctant to challenge that immunity. Quote, there's nothing really to parallel this sort of full-on attack on the coordinate branches, said Stanley Brand, a former general counsel to the House of Representatives. They've opened another new chapter in inter-branch relations, quote, close quote. Trump's allies say he has an electoral mandate to implement his immigration crackdown, a personal conviction about the issue, and broad legal authority to act. Judges and lawmakers who are impeding that effort are trampling on a core presidential power, they say. Quote, this is a defensive response by the administration to an assault on the law, on immigration law in particular, said Mark Kokorian, executive director of the Conservative Center for Immigration Studies. He added that he believed the left has coalesced against Trump's immigration agenda because it is the president's marquee issue, close quote. But Trump critics contend the intensity of the pushback Trump has received from judges and Democratic lawmakers is because so many of his policy moves push the legal envelope, because his administration has shown signs of defiance in the face of court orders. And in the classes with other branches, the administration's posture has largely been solely defensive. In addition to launching charges against Dugan and McIver, the Justice Department has sued Democratic-run cities, counties, and states for failing to operate or cooperate with federal immigration authorities. Justice Department spokespeople did not respond to a request for comment on the department's growing conflicts with other branches of government. The attacks have emanated directly from the White House, too, when a federal judge in Washington ruled against Trump's bid to swiftly deport people deemed alien enemies. Trump himself called for the judge's impeachment. The attitude is perhaps most embodied by Trump's top domestic policy aide, Stephen Miller. Y'all know him, who has lashed out daily against the judicial coup when judges have attempted to rein in some of Trump's most extreme deportation tactics. I noticed that the Republicans never want to talk about things that they've done wrong. They don't want to talk about January 6th. That's a taboo issue. The newest escalation came this week with the charges against McIver, Alina Habla, the interim U.S. Attorney for New Jersey, who previously served as Trump's personal lawyer, brought the case. Haba has said the first-term lawmaker assaulted, impeded, and interfered with law enforcement during a confrontation at a Newark Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility earlier this month. No one is above the law, politicians or otherwise, Haba said in a statement Monday. It is the job of this office to uphold justice impartially, regardless of who you are. Remember that, Republicans, no one is above the law. It's going to come back to bite them. In a criminal complaint made public Tuesday, prosecutors alleged that McIver attempted to thwart the arrest of Newark Mayor Ras Baraka, whom federal agents had attempted to remove from the facility when they realized he was not a member of McIver's congressional delegation, and a federal judge has dismissed the charge against Newark Mayor Ras Baraka, the frontrunner, the African-American, who could become the first black the black governor of New Jersey. McIver pushed an ICE officer and used each of her forearms to forcibly strike a uniformed Homeland Security agent. According to the complaint, the statute the lawmaker is charged with violating includes, in its definition, anyone who forcibly assaults, arrests, opposes, impedes, intimidates, interferes with federal officials. She's not going to prison, y'all. And they know it. She's not going to go to prison. In a statement, McIver called the single felony charge against her purely political, adding that DOJ's claims mischaracterize and distort my actions and are meant to criminalize and deter legislative oversight. Members of Congress are permitted by law to inspect immigration facilities. Democrats rushed to defend McIver while bashing the charge as politically motivated. In a joint statement, House Democratic leadership said the move was extreme, morally bankrupt, and lacks any basis in law or fact, and blasted it as a blatant attempt by the Trump administration to intimidate Congress and interfere with our ability to serve as a check and balance on an out-of-control executive branch. Trump, meanwhile, celebrated the charge. She was shoving federal agents. She was out of control. The president told reporters Tuesday, the days of that crap are over in this country. We're going to have law and order. The case against McIver resembles the one that the Justice Department brought in April against Dugan. She, too, is accused of impeding immigration agents, though not through a physical altercation. Prosecutors say that Milwaukee's judge directed an undocumented immigrant through a side exit in her courtroom when she learned that ICE agents were in a nearby hallway seeking to arrest him. Dugan, who is charged with concealing an individual to prevent arrest and obstruction, has pleaded not guilty and is fighting to dismiss the charges. What a double standard with these people. No one, regardless of their job title, can be allowed to assault ICE agents or harbor illegal aliens and get away with it. White House spokesperson Abigail Jackson said in a statement to Politico, legal experts said the charges against McIver and Dugan and the bellicose rhetoric the White House has hurled toward federal judges seemed intended to pressure other members of the judicial and legislative branches to stop resisting Trump's agenda. I think they're all part of the same pattern, said former House and Senate lawyer Michael Stern, although he added that he remains unsure whether the moves are driven by a long-term desire to expand executive power or just to please Trump. Maybe there's some more thought-out plot to expand executive power, so the only source of law is the president's word. That seems to be the effect. I don't know how thoughtful they're going about it, because the courts are not going to, I think, take kindly to this. Stern also said some of Trump's claims are so aggressive that they undercut a central argument by the Justice Department, that Trump is a victim and the perpetrator of breaches of the separation of powers. It is actually judges and state officials, the argument goes, who are overstepping their boundaries or authority by meddling in national immigration policy. You can't have separate power if any one branch is completely disregarding the interests of the others. That will not work, Stern said. And this administration considers its own prerogatives to be untouchable and has no regard whatsoever for any other prerogatives of any of the other branches, including the states. But Trump and many of his supporters frame the question as a simple issue of law and order, not an abstract problem about divided constitutional powers. Well, I see a lot of people on the Republican side breaking the law every day, and nobody ever says anything against it. They just continuously get away with anything because they think that people will not vote them out of office. Well, midterm elections are coming up, and people are angry, and they're going to come out en masse, and they're going to vote vigorously during the midterm elections. They're going to show people who really has the power. It's a government of, for, and by the people. Close quote. This book, the Constitution, says so. Yeah. The one that they want to ignore, the Constitution of the United States. You know what? I've had enough of reading this article. I'm just going to ask a fundamental question. What do you think? What would have happened if Barack Obama had done the same exact thing? Never surrender, never quit.